Welcome back to Cage Chronicles. New episode this day, whatever, with Courtney and James again. How we doing, guys?
Good.
Great.
James is not too happy. He's issues with his phone, but I don't want to talk about it. 'Cause we just heard for the last 20 minutes.
Oh, what? Hers goes in half.
Yeah, no, it's just his new phone.
Oh, so she's got a new phone. Mine's doesn't even work now.
We'll sort it out.
You
Don't
just-
worry. Don't worry about it. That's all you're going to be thinking about now, isn't it, the phone?
Yeah.
Anyway, how you doing, Courtney? You good?
Yeah, I'm
sweet.
good.
Nice. We've had like a bit of a whirlwind weekend. Massive fights this weekend, which we're going to talk about. We've also had visitors coming into the gym, UFC legends, and we've got lots of things coming up as well. So we've got heaps to talk about. It's going to be a good lot of events happening very soon. But let's talk about first, on Friday, we had Dominic Cruz come in, and we all trained in that seminar. And it was an amazing seminar, really, really cool. I wasn't sure, when you training with people, you never know how good they're going to be at teaching and the seminars and things like that. But I was really looking forward to learning off Dom, and it was like, didn't let me down at all.
No, it was wicked. Like, they say never meet your heroes, but
Yeah.
I think he's even more of a hero in my eyes after that. That was a wicked seminar. It was really cool. So much good technique, but like just listening to him talk as well was just like mind-blowing.
Just like the different concepts and stuff and the way he put things together. There's a reason why he's got really high IQ in fighting, obviously 2-time UFC champion. And just the way he puts stuff together, and when I've watched him fight before, sometimes I think, oh, is that just random, or is the way he's doing that because it's very unique? But then when he broke it down and said, this is why I do it this way, and this is the pressure I'm going to have back, and this is the feel I'm going to have for this, was just like, it was so cool. And it's like really put some of the stuff I've been teaching into perspective, and then I'm going to be able to incorporate some of them ideas and concepts too as well.
Yeah, well, like a lot of switching stance stuff, which you've been like drilling into like all the fighters a lot lately. It's been like kind of flavor of the last year. So it was really cool to see that like these concepts that you're trying to bring into us like aren't just like, oh, maybe this is cool, like a cool idea, we can start adding it in. And then like you got Dominic Cruz come in, who's like top of the top of the top, like highest level you can get. And he's like, exactly what you're teaching us is what like I've used to win all my fights. Like, it's really cool to know that like the level of coaching here is like at that level of like the top of the UFC as well. So
that's why I like traveling as well. You travel, you find different places. The same as when we went to Evolve before, and we went to all the classes, and we'd already covered all the stuff in pretty much previous stuff I've been teaching. So, but it just makes you think, oh, you're doing the right thing, doing the right stuff, and that. And how did you find it, James? And obviously, you're not so much a striker. How did you find the seminar in general? Yeah,
like you were saying, some people, even just like when you go look at instructionals online, you will like find some guy that's, this is his move or whatever, and I'll look it up for if I'm going to teach it in jits, I want to just refresh or get some different ideas. And sometimes this guy might be the best in the world at this thing. You watch his instructional and I'm like, just turn it off in like 20 seconds. I'm like, this is terrible, you know, like you just can't. But some people can be like amazing, but not good at coaching. But like, Dom was like really good at breaking it down and like keeping you engaged as well. Like he was like really, you think he's flown all the way here. He's got the UFC, he's got all this stuff happening, but he was like in the moment. Like, and then I still took away a lot from it. Like obviously he went all the way from striking to the ground, so he covered the whole sport of MMA, which is like what I was hoping for. But just things like the highs and like going high, going low, mixing it up, making them not know like to the point where they're going. Like I think even that stuff you can take into like just grappling. Like obviously I'm just doing jiu-jitsu, but I thought I could take that away for that. Yeah, and then I mean working with the guys, like I like to do the MMA grappling as well. So it's good to just get an overview of everything and like how you're going to get into the takedowns when you've got punches coming at you and that sort of thing, you know.
I thought it was really good. And then we had Ross come over with him as well. Obviously, Ross brought him over, and so I had two legends for one.
That's pretty cool.
And he was coming around helping out as well. So it's always good to see Ross. Wicked seminar, really really cool. And it sort of like set me up and got me all excited for the next day, which was the big fights. Obviously, we had 4 fighting on Eternal. We had Josh, which is the first time I've seen him fight amateur. Like, he's fought before, but he's never fought with us before, other than when I coached him at Worlds. And then we had James, obviously first time his pro fight, and hasn't fought in 4 years. And then we had Kev, obviously stepping up to fight for the title, the vacant title. And then we had, sorry, my bad. We had Frank for the vacant title. Then we had Kev, who had a fight. The fighter pulled out, and then was offered the lightweight championship fight against Harry Webb, who's like the #1 prospect in Australia. So it was a bit of like a crazy time for the weight cuts. Obviously, it's all happening at the same time. And then to go into the fight itself, especially with Kevs, we had to change the whole game plan of how we were going to match against him. But yeah, it was a bit of an amazing weekend, really. And I've still not recovered fully, I don't think. How did you find it, James? Obviously, you're in the corner as well.
Yeah, it was good. I think it, for having 4 fighters on, it felt like it ran smooth out the back, especially like having Frank to Kev. Like Kev fought straight after Frank, but it all ran like it felt like it all ran really smoothly.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys have been in there a bunch now, so I think that has a lot to do with it. It's like they know what they need to do, because obviously you went out with Cam to go and Ryan to corner Frank, so that just left me and Josh out the back for Kev. But Kev's like, he knows what he's doing, so he can like run his own thing. So I'm there to like grapple to warm him up. Josh is there to hold the pads, but he's such a professional now. Yeah. It's like easy. Like we're not worried. Oh, Steve's not there, like we know you're going to get back in time and everything's going to be good. So there's like no stress. So it felt like it ran like pretty smooth considering.
I think Eternal runs smooth anyway, usually. Yeah. Right? So out of all the shows, it pretty much, this is the time it's going to start. It's going to run pretty smooth. And it usually runs to that sort of schedule, especially being on UFC Fight Pass, has to run to a certain schedule. Obviously with Josh, with his first fight, really good, really happy with his performance. Started to really come out of himself in the second and third round, working his hands, got into Bosch, Josh the Bosch. I was shouting at round 3. I was like, just bosh him, Josh. Start like throwing massive combinations, really cool. James stepped in, obviously, against a lot taller, rangier fighter. Hasn't fought for like 4 years. And went out there, like, was confident, ready to go. But then he did landed a calf kick. Shut his calf down. Couldn't really push off it. Couldn't really, like, he was going for the body shot, which he was hurting him with, but he wasn't coming back to the head or being able to shoot in for a takedown, so it's all laboured. So it is what it is. Like, the guy did a really good game plan, working the jab, working the low kick, and I'm sure James will be back in. The sooner we get him back in, the better, and it's going to be a lot easier getting matches at pro, I think. Yeah. But he looked good at welterweight, like better than middleweight that he was fighting at before. But yeah, so I was pretty happy when all 3 rounds got the decision. Sorry, the other guy got the decision, but it was a good fight overall. Yeah,
I think that guy just had like a really good game plan, and it worked. Yeah. In the end of the day, it worked. Like once, and I think it was like I mean, James checked like the first leg kick or something, or the second one, and then and we're like, oh yeah, cool. And then I think it was like maybe the third leg kick, it just shut that nerve down. And then you could see like he was grabbing, like he would catch a single or catch a kick, James would, but he just couldn't. He just had no drive to follow through, and then even like to throw his like combos, it was like he would get one in, but he just couldn't because his leg had just back foot.
When he came back after the first round, he said to me, he goes like, my leg's fucked, like I can't push out. I'm like, all right, let's just try and shut him down, cut him off. But he wasn't able to cut off.
Even the cage, then, it was like so that I mean, his opponent just circled the cage, stayed out of range, hit him with the jab.
It was a good. I just want to get him back in there. That'd be great. And then obviously we had Frank fighting for the title against a really wrestle-heavy, experienced wrestler originally from America, but training out of Thailand now. Watched his fights. He's fought in some big promotions before. More experienced than Frank in the pro fights. But I think we knew going into that one he was going to get taken down. I said, like, as long as your gas tank's there and you're fighting to get back up again, you're fighting the hands, you're trying to get back to your feet, we'll be fine. Like, you land your strikes when you're standing, you'll get taken down. Like, you obviously try and defend the takedown, but if you get taken down, get back to your feet, but don't just settle on the floor. And that's what he did. He just kept going. Every round, I'd say to him, how's the gas tank? And he goes, good. I was like, sweet, let's keep going. We're going to catch him. We'll catch him. And we've been working like front kicks and knees down the center, other than like coming off our hands with the leg kicks coming round. And then that finish was pretty sweet. It was pretty damn sweet. That's perfect. I thought it was a right knee, but it was a switch knee. It was even harder to land.
Right.
Then he's just got that killer mentality, just straight on him, took his back, and he was just gone. Like, he was done. Yeah,
we were in the holding room with Kev, so it was me, Josh, and Kev in the holding room, and like you can just hear, like obviously you're like behind a few doors and a wall, and you can just hear the whole stadium. I think it was like 2,700 people, and they're just like, Frank the Tank, Frank the Tank. This in the middle of the fight, and then I've got it on my phone, like watching, and like Kev's just like getting ready to fight. So I've got no sound on the phone, but I'm just watching it, but it's 30-second delay. So I'm watching Frank's fight, but we can just hear the noise, and then 30 seconds later you'll see like whatever happened. And then obviously I didn't get to see all of it, but when I did tune in, he was like on the ground, or he was like stuck in the body lock against the cage, and I was like, oh yeah, this guy's like wrestling him. And then he comes out in that fourth round, I think.
Round,
And then they touch gloves in the fourth round, and then pretty much you just hear like the crowd erupt. And then Josh looks at me, I look at Josh, and I'm like, someone got knocked out. And then he's like, who do you reckon? I was like, well, Frank's got to have won, because the crowd wouldn't go like that for the other guy. No, so I was like, Frank's got to have won. It has to be Frank. Like, there's no way they'd be cheering for the other guy like that. And then you just see the knee, and we're like, whoa, like it's so nuts. But
it's just such a
so loud,
amazing finish. And when they did that video, have you seen the video where they did it from underneath?
Yeah,
seen that one, the highlight one? Just such a good view of it. Just like just the technique and the switch, and they hit that knee, which I think even if he just opened up on top, he would have finished him like that. He totally rocked him. Yeah. But then to go out his back, because I knew like in the last fight he won by choke. He choked someone out before one of his previous fights when he fought Darcy years ago and stuff like that. So I knew his chokes are good, like especially when he takes the back. And as soon as that was in, I was like, it's done. It's finished. So good.
Well,
so good.
Frank's developed so much. Like his grappling has gotten so tight. The only chance I used to stand with him was the fact that he is so like quick and fast, but he'd leave so many openings. And it'd be like, cool, I just need to stay composed, wait for that opening when he does like a big move, and then I can start working. Except in the last year, those openings, they're just not there anymore. He's just so much tighter. So it's just like you end up like grappling with him being like, how do you move that quickly but not expose yourself? And just like his development in the last year or two has just been insane, especially in his jiu-jitsu. So it's really cool that he's been able to show that off.
I think especially since the fight way for the first Eternal title, since then I think something switched in his head, and his training's gone to another level, and he knows he can like what he did wrong and what he needs to work on now, and he's still working on it. And then obviously when that Diamondback fight, obviously taking the guy out in just over a minute, just took him out. And then obviously this last fight, it's just showing his skill level and his composure, and just like, I mean, you started with him, Colin, like you both started fighting at the same time. So the first one was in Melbourne, wasn't it? The path to Hex. Took these two over, smashed them. You know, like so, like if you started the same time with the fighting career, so you've watched his progression come through as well. So it's like, how many times have we travelled away together? Like heaps, you know. So
lost count. Yeah. But like we're the same size, so like we've trained a lot together, and we've gone through a lot of camps together. But just to see like how far he's gotten, and like to see how far his training's gotten as well. Like you're 100% right. That last Drillich fight's definitely lit a fire under him. He's come back so much stronger from that setback. He's really worked those like holes and openings in his game. And it's paying off for him. Like
100%.
And we all know he loves a good head kick. He loves like a good knee to the head, a good head kick, but he used to never set him up. And you'd be like, start with your hands, like set them up with your hands. Don't just throw the kick off nothing. And like just to see that's finally kind of like switched, and he's like starting to set things up. And now look at him like set up a beautiful switch knee to the head on a smaller opponent, and it landed perfectly. And now he's the double champ. Like
it's just like you don't have to, like Frank backstage, you don't have to worry about him. Like again, everyone's gonna get a bit of nerves, but like he never really shows it. Just a little routine that he does backstage, and he's in this little thing rapping to himself, and like just never have to worry about like him like just like getting in his head too much. I mean, so far, but it's pretty easy fight, and I said not a pretty easy fight, pretty easy to look after him, and that fight was just like really cool because it really showed that he could take that adversity and he wasn't getting in his own head. Like he was coming back and going, he's out wrestling me. I was like, yeah, it's cool. like, you know, we'll still keep working, keep fighting it. It's what he does. He wrestles, but you'll catch him. I have no doubt in my mind he was going to catch him in the 4th or 5th, as long as he kept going, because he started to slow down as well. So that was, it was amazing fight, another belt for the gym. And then we had Kevin fighting, again, for the lightweight title against Harry Webb, 6 hours notice, coming up in weight from featherweight to lightweight, and again, taking the fight. I thought to myself when Ben rang me, he's like, oh, there's an opportunity here if you want to take it. And I thought, I think Kev could beat him. Like, when I watched him before, and I said, yeah, I think he'll take it. And then I quickly looked at him again, and I was like, nah, I think I've got an idea how he can beat him, because he's got the skill set. And then obviously phoned Kev, and he goes, what do you think? And he goes, yeah. And I was, sweet, so let's do it. And so then he wanted to fight. He'd been training hard, took the fight. And then when I'd seen him at the weigh-ins, I was like, he's big. He's pretty big. He came at the very last minute, didn't he, as well? He turns up like just before 4:30, sweatsuit on. I'm like, he's jacked. Yeah. Like, huge. And I knew he was going to have that size advantage, strength advantage, because his legs were like tree trunks. But, going into the fight, Kev just always looks confident. Always confident in himself. Has his little routine backstage, as James says, and he's just ready to go. And then that would put on one of the best fights I've ever cornered, as I've ever seen in Australia, I think. And the amount of comments and the amount of messages I've got from just random coaches around the Australia, from people all over the world, just messaging me and just obviously saying they thought Kev won, which I do. I think Kev won. But it was just an amazing fight, and just like a crazy run of events, really. You know?
Yeah, I think. Like you said, he looks. I mean, on his last fight, you and him both said like his timing was a little bit off, because he'd been out for 2.5 years or something out of the cage, and so just his timing. Obviously, that fight was a lot easier than this fight. And he finished him, got him with the ninja choke, and did well and everything. But you guys said he's like, to me, I'm like, he looks fine. But you guys are like, oh, his timing's off a little bit. And that was it. And then I think, obviously, coming into this fight, from the get-go out the back, I was like, oh, he's just so dialed in. He was like, so dialed in. Because, normally if you're out the back, you're kind of like, okay, guys, like, you're gonna do this for your warm, let's do some pad work, let's do this, let's do that. And then, because you were with Frank, and it's just me and Josh, I'm like, you just, like, don't say anything. Like, you feel like you should be doing more, like, telling him what to do or anything. But he was just in the zone. Like, we just stood there and like watched him get ready, and then I'm like, just let me know when you want to do some wrestling. And then he was just so like, everything was dialed in. He's like, okay, let's wrestle now. Bang, bang, bang. Did that. Then he's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And then get to the holding room, and he's like just doing his own thing. He was just like in the zone. Like, from the get go, he was just looking really good, And then from that first bell, put the pace on straight away. And you're a little bit, because when you, like, we both sat there and they get in the cage, and then you're like, oh, you can see the size difference now. Like, you definitely could see. He's a weight class above. Like, however much Kev weighed on the day or whatever, it doesn't matter. The guy still fights a weight class above. And so, you could see that size difference from the get-go. And then Kev just, like, put the pace on straight away. And then in your head, you're thinking, like, how the hell is he going to do this for 5 minutes? But knowing Kev, I'm like, I know he can do it for 5 minutes, but it's like, how is it humanly possible? He literally, like, straight away.
Deals with you with the Shark Tank. So
that is it, exactly. Yeah. So when you got that sort of pressure makes diamonds. Yeah, exactly. I'm the pressure, Kev's the diamond. So it's like, well, exactly. From doing the Shark Tanks, I know what he can do, right? And from doing that with him, but then obviously once you're in there, it's different again than doing it in here. Like, those Shark Tanks in here are meant to, like, almost break you. Yeah. But then obviously once you're in the cage, like, you got the lights, you got the crowd, you're actually getting hit in the face, you're getting bloodied up. So you've got the more pressure again, which is going to take your energy. But he just didn't slow down. They kept that pace. And I think, at first, I think Harry was, like, super confident. His corner was super confident. Like, the way they were talking was, like, insane. I was like, what are these guys, like, even saying? Like, you can't go into a fight like he was like, 30 seconds, Harry, it's going to be done. Don't worry about it. I was like, what?
So
you're in a fight.
I'm
You're in a
maybe
fight.
it's the confidence thing, trying to give him confidence.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't think so.
And like,
unless he clips him, I don't know.
Yeah, you're about to have a fight, right? So it's like anything can happen, and then by the end of the third round, they knew they were in a fight then, and then that's when we went into I think it was the end of the third. We were in the cage, and then I go to Kev. I was like, he's breaking. I was like, you're breaking him, Kev. You're breaking him. And then Steve just looks him in the eyes, and he's like, and you're getting stronger, Kev. You're getting stronger, and you just see Kev's like, I am. And he's like looking over the top of Steve at Harry, and he's just like coming up, and like I literally think he was like, I think Harry was starting to like fade a bit, and Kev was like coming on more and more, you know. Like,
I think what it was, he'd done the first round. Kev won the first round, definitely. When it put it on him, won the first round. Don't know how anyone says he lost it. He won the first round. Second and third, I think Harry was like, nah, I got to put it on him. He started to come back, land big shots, possibly give the rounds 2 and 3 to Harry. And then after the third round came back, just let's just go for it. I see Harry was slowing down. He couldn't keep up the pace. He was standing more straight. His chin was coming even higher when he was throwing shots. And it was just an easier target. So then we're saying, but then Kev's, I could see Kev's shin was like pretty bashed up. So let's just go more southpaw. We'll start landing. Our left hand's going to land. So then we started like putting it on him, and fourth and fifth just like went after him. And then by the end of the fifth, it was just like, took him down, took his back, started smashing him, and then had the choke, and the choke was locked in. Another 5 seconds, it's done. But like
another 5 seconds.
But like saying that, it shouldn't come into the judge's decision of what should have happened if it was 5 seconds longer, because what if it was a half an hour longer, whatever. But like just that performance for round one, like trying to not be unbiased. Round 1, round 4, round 5, definitely won. Definitely won. And then the amount of messages I got afterwards from like coaches around Australia who just messaged me out the blue going, oh, he's ripped off there. He definitely won. Your boy won 1, 4 and 5. Some thought he'd won an extra round as well, but the majority was the same. And then it's just such a shame that the judges have made that decision, because no one of us give it to him. As soon as I heard it was a split decision, I thought, oh, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Like I had a bad feeling. I thought we're not going to get this, because like obviously Harry's the golden boy and he's like coming through. That shouldn't come into the equation either. But the judging on that was so off. Like everyone knows that Kev won that fight, and the fact that he doesn't get a belt to bring back, he loses money. He now has a loss on his record, which he shouldn't have had before. All these things come into play, and yeah, obviously the fight is going to catapult him, and everyone knows who Kev is now. But that doesn't take away that he should have won that fight. So,
I think you can look at it also like, I'm so impressed with Kev. Like I'm always impressed with Kev. Yeah. He's an amazing athlete, amazing teammate, amazing coach. But you take everything into account, like the whole situation. He's gone from that Thursday night being absolutely devastated because he's lost his opponent. He told us pretty openly and honestly, he's like, he was in tears. He's trained so hard to get back to this point where he's being active and he's fighting again. To get to the day before weigh-ins and lose your opponent, that's like heartbreaking. So he's mentally gone through this devastating loss and grief, and he's dealing with it in however he can deal with it. Knowing there is a possibility that we might get like a very, very late notice fight, but chances day before weigh-ins
you've been it
never
for
happens.
Yourself many a time.
Oh,
so, yeah,
this is why I'm so impressed by him, because I know how I've mentally dealt with these situations, and it's not as well as he did. So he's gone through that, and then he's gone the next morning to be like, hey, you've got this opportunity. And it's not just a fight, it's a massive fight. It's for a title, which you've been working towards, but he's 2-0 as a pro, so he's still got a fair way to go before getting any sort of title shot, generally. So 1, you're stepping up, you got a title shot. 2, you're stepping up a weight division. So you don't have to cut, but it's going to be against a bigger guy. Yeah. And 3, you're against Harry Webb, the human highlight reel. You've got that fight name, which means you have to live up to that fight name. So biggest prospect in all of Australia, but also known for his knockouts. So he's already bigger, he's already taller, he's going to be potentially stronger, and he's known for knocking people out. On a UFC weekend, knowing that there's going to be matchmakers, there's going to be promoters, there's going to be management, there's going to be other UFC athletes, everyone you look up to, biggest fight opportunity of your life, honestly. and he's going, yep, cool, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, just to be like at that low of a low to that, all right, fine, like flick the switch, let's go for it. But even
taking out the equation of just like talking about judging, that all that happened before, it's amazing, like what he did. But then I obviously heard that Harry had a lot of issues and things he had to deal with as well. Well, obviously things that happened with him. So taking all out of the equation and just the fight itself, like just looking at the judging, that's what annoyed me. Like, not everyone overcomes stuff and dealing with stuff you don't even know about, which is amazing. Everyone does that. But talking about just the judging by itself, man, like, I hate the fact that we have to rely on
judges'
someone's
decision.
opinion on a criteria when it's quite evident that was not the case.
Well, you look at the stats and the data from the fight, and it says a different story, doesn't it?
So we'll come back and talk about the stats in a second. We're just going to have a little break.
Keep it moving. The head's going up in the air every time.
And we're back in again. So yeah, we're talking about the stats. So we're talking about everything that happened in the fight. Like with Kev's fight, again, my opinion, which is the same as what like a judge would have an opinion on what it is, that he won round 1, round 4, round 5 for definite. The other ones can be up for discussion or whatever. And then when I got the split decision and I looked at the stats on the wall, like I looked up at the wall and I'm like, oh my word, like they both threw about 400 odd punches or strikes.
Insane.
400 strikes thrown. Like, and I was like, oh my word, like it was like so, that's so insane. That's never usually like that's not like a UFC fight or anything like that, you know, it was just like, that was insane.
And
how many
landed
times
as well. Like
but
a lot of them landed. Like sometimes you'll see like a big stat like that with a lot of strikes thrown, and the landed is not that much. That was like they both throwing and both landing for like a lot of that.
But then you look at Kev's stats and he's landed 100 more strikes.
Yeah.
So even if 80 of those strikes were like just little tippy taps, which they weren't, that's still 100 more strikes. If I want to punch you in the face 100 times right now, that's going to take me a little while to do. And I was like, what the hell, like 100 strikes.
Do you want to do it though? Because we could like, let's do an experiment,
100 strikes more, got an extra takedown.
Just to put that into perspective, if you calculate that, that's a strike every 1.5 seconds of the fight. Yeah. So, insane.
Yeah. Which is like, it's insane. And then he got an extra takedown, which he was the one pushing the takedowns. And then he got a submission attempt, which wasn't recorded, which
on the stats,
obviously is a mistake of what they've done, because obviously he nearly finished with the submission. So all that taken into account, then obviously you can't go on the judges, but like the damage caused, obviously Kev's face looked a mess. So did Harry's, but the injuries Harry sustained from the damage caused, which is what's supposed to be damage. Obviously a judge is not going to know what damage is caused, but you look at the aftermath of, you know, unfortunately he's in the hospital with like a broken nose, jaw broken in 2 places, and obviously thought he had a fractured shin or a fractured leg or something. And then Kev's walking around the next day, like obviously he's got black eyes, little panda eyes and stuff, but it's just I just don't see how they come up with that result.
Well, when we got in the cage, like we were like, the very last round, Harry was hitting Kev. This is where you can tell the difference in that like weight class and size as well. Is like that very last round, Kev got caught with probably like 3, maybe 4 punches that started to like wobble and rock him, right? Like he was getting wobbled and he was starting to get rocked. And then you were shouting for him to wrestle now. And you can feel it's funny in the corner. It's like you don't talk to each other much, but you can feel the energy. So like we were going high, and then once he started catching them, you could feel the energy of like Kev could get stopped here. Like if something like hits him hard or he follows up, this could go like south, and you can feel that energy. And then you were calling to wrestle, and in my mind I'm thinking Steve's calling to wrestle, like just get him, get attached to him, and you're not going to take any like big hits now, okay? So there's no chance of getting like dropped or whatever or sat down. And Kev didn't just wrestle. He caught the single. He switched out to the outside single and then got the foot sweep. Yeah. Put him down, took his back, started striking, and then put a rear naked in. So he didn't just like get on him and hang on him and try to like survive. Yeah. He literally like, in that last 15 seconds, look at how much he did. He caught the single, took him down, like with a beautiful foot sweep. Like he switched to the outside, lifted the leg, foot swept him, jumped on his back, striked him, started like raining down punches, which could have like got the fights, like the refs going.
Well, the only reason they wouldn't have, he was throwing punches and they started throwing elbows, at which point Harry turned his back to give him his back because he can't hit him in the back of the head. Yeah. Then he threw the choke in, but it was literally 5 seconds left on there.
Like, yeah, so it's like what he did in that he didn't just like survive. He literally like did a round's worth of work in 15 seconds. Like it was insane. Like and beautiful. So he was like recovered from those hits he took that were like starting to wobble him. He's like recovered in that time, taking him down, done all that work like perfectly, technically, like did it smoothly, and then 5 more seconds, like that ref was like coming around. You were laying out across the stairs. Cam was standing on his stool because normally, like, if you try and get up at all, they'll rip you down. Cam's standing on the stool. Steve's lying across the stairs, got a guy trying to rip him off the stairs because you can't do that either. So Steve's lying. I'm just like screaming like in the middle, and then I can't see because like Steve's butt's in my face. But I'm just thinking like I seen him go for the rear naked, and I can see the ref. Like the ref, you can just tell, like you can just tell the ref's about to stop it, and then. And then the buzzer went and he didn't get it, but I was like, I just thought, he's won. Like, we were going off. Like, you ran in, picked him up. I was like, he's won this fight for sure.
I was in no doubt in my mind that he'd won the fight. I thought, how could you possibly give it to Harry? I mean, that's the two best prospects, like coming up in Australia. Obviously, Harry going to UFC, I thought, what an achievement. And then like, it's just taken away. So it's just it was a bit annoying, and it does happen. We've had bad calls before in fights. We had one the other few months ago with Jesse that was like, even the other corner came over to us and they were like, sorry mate, your guy won it. Don't know what the judges are thinking. But these things sort of happen, and we sort of like let it go half the time. And one of your fights, like I was like so pissed off. Like it was just like, what are you watching? Like I don't understand about it. But then when it's such a big thing and it's like, again, it's going to affect you financially, it's going to affect the title, it's going to affect your record. For something you've come up to, you've saved the show. Yeah. You've definitely saved the show because the one Webb on there, you've come in and said, nah, fuck it, I'm going to fight him. And then at the very end, just like get pipped. It's annoying. But like, other than that, it was an amazing fight. Again, like, everyone's going to be talking about it for quite a while.
And that's the positives to take out of it. Exactly. Is that Kev's name's now out there. People 100%. Aren't stopping talking. Like he's proved a point. He's really like shown how much heart he has, and like he's shown how much this means to him. That like there are so many negatives. Everything you've just said that really sucks. But on the positives, everyone's talking about Kev. Like, Harry did a great job. Harry did amazingly, but we all expected him to. Yes. No one expected Kev to do this. Yeah. So the fact that someone who was the underdog has now turned the tables, everyone's focusing on Kev. They're not focusing on Harry, Like, exactly. So there are lots of positives to come out of it, and I think Kev's only going to go up from here.
100%. Go back down to featherweight and just like try and take out whatever we can take out there, whatever they get given. Yeah. So it's going to be good. So overall, amazing show, amazing fights. It took me a couple of days to like get over it a little bit, but it was really, really cool. Then the next big thing is that myself and James fly out on Monday. Yep. We're going to head to Las Vegas just for a holiday. Going to fight, going to compete in the Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, which I did last year. James' first time doing it, so he'll be going over, taking out the brown belt division over there and bringing back the gold, and I'll give it a shot and see what I can do.
Black belt division for you.
Black belt division for me. But Yeah, it should be really good experience. I think I have a feeling James is going to be starstruck over there because like the amount of jiu-jitsu players he's going to see and UFC fighters and stuff walking around.
Have you already slid into everyone's DMs?
I'm in a few DMs, so hopefully I'll make some new friends over there. Hey. Yeah, now I've got no phone. So.
I've got no phone. Let's not mention that again.
I'm gonna have to take like a little sticky notebook or something, just like write notes down and give it to people. I don't have a phone, so
this is my Insta handle.
Yeah.
Are you feeling about? Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the comp at all. I think because that's the one thing I know. Yeah. It's like I know that whether it's there or here or over there or down the street, it's like once you step on those mats, it's the same. You compete.
You just got to do your
You just got to do jiu-jitsu against that guy. It's everything else. I'm super nervous about traveling and flying and like getting there, and I'm like, is customs going to strip search me? Am I going to get arrested? Am I going to get shot in America? Like all these things. Like, so I'm freaking out about all that stuff. Like, is my hotel room a scam? And am I going to have to sleep with you? Because that might happen.
It's not going to happen.
Because I booked my hotel room and now I think I've been scammed. So.
It's like, why is it so cheap? I was like, surely you couldn't get a room for that amount. He's like, oh, I might have been scammed. And I was like, nah, it should be fine. But
I'm pretty sure I've been scammed, and now now my phone's broken, so now I don't have a phone, and I've got like a few days to figure that out. So all that stuff's stressful. The actual competition, the World Championships, not worried about because everything else is too stressful. And I think with the World Championships, it's like everybody loses, and I'm just like, you can win. I think I could win. I think I can win gold, right? Yeah. I know I can.
But you got to go in with that mentality anyway. You know?
Yeah, I know I can. I think I can. But I also know, like, you could lose in 20 seconds. Like, you know, sometimes you get caught. You get
someone grabs you in the guillotine or some kind of choke and you're done. Yeah.
So it's like I don't want to put like too much pressure on myself. Like you have to win. Apart from that, like I feel really good. Like I feel like my jiu-jitsu's like just come real far in the last year.
Yeah.
My cardio is like really good, especially from like basically like when Kev and the guys went into camp for Eternal, I was like, okay, I'm going into camp for the Worlds, like for jiu-jitsu. And then I've been doing that work like with Kev and James and Aaron and like whoever you've like put Frank in the MMA Shark Tanks. Like, and that's just like pushing the pace, scrambling, you know, takedowns, wall work, like all this, especially with Kev trying to punch my head off when he gets mad at me. So it's been good because it's like, I'm like, you know, what's the chances these other guys at Worlds, like jiu-jitsu in the gi, are doing this sort of work? So it just brings another element, and my cardio's come up for it. And so it's like, and my jiu-jitsu is the best it's ever been, which is like, it's always going to be the best it's ever been because you're just always getting better. Yeah. So my cardio is good. So I'm pretty like confident, but also I know that like, if I lose straight away, you lose straight away.
It's just a great experience as well. Like just to go and travel and compete is just a wicked experience. So like win, lose or draw or whatever happens, it's going to be, I think you'll enjoy it. It'll be pretty cool. I enjoyed it last time, you know. Didn't get the result I wanted, but like, you know, it was an experience, you know, like, and it was really good. Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think like you say, like you didn't get the result you wanted, but it's like you know, you go again and maybe you win this time. Maybe you don't. Maybe you go okay, then you go again, and then maybe you win. Like 100%. I always think of Metcalf because he flies, like he goes to Japan, he goes to here, he goes there. He'll fly for like one day. He'll stay for, compete and come home. Sometimes he goes there and he like wins the world championships. Yeah. Sometimes he goes, he like loses his first match and flies all the way home. Like you know, so it's like. You look at him and you just think, he's out there doing it. Yeah, sometimes he takes out the whole thing. So I think he told me the other day he's put 4 people to sleep in international competition, you know. But then also he's flown away, got beaten straight away. That's it, back on your horse, mate. But it's like, you got to be in it.
It's jiu-jitsu for you, isn't it? It's like, just, you can win and lose so easily because there's so many traps and so many things. You can make one little mistake and you're like, oh, you get outpointed like I did last time. It's like, just made a mistake and I was like...
And I think at that level, everyone's game's different. So, like, someone might be just focusing 24/7 on, like, one setup to one submission to one, like, position, whatever it is.
You don't know what that is.
No, you got no idea. And then next minute, you're like, oh, where am I? And this is, like, that's where they want you to be.
And
so it's so hard.
A spider guy, and you're like, oh, he's really good at this.
and it could be something. It could be something you've seen. Like, the guy could do something, and I'm like, I've seen this a million. This is what Steve does to me all the time. Seen it a million times. I know how to deal with it. Or he does something, and you're like, don't deal with it much, and then before you know it, you're on the back foot, and then now you're like, oh shit.
But the thing is, then you've experienced it. Then you can come home, you can work on it, you learn.
Yeah, exactly. I got one of my MMA fights where someone took my back for like 4 minutes, and like got me in a body lock, and I was like, I'm never getting caught in a body lock again. And I worked like 20,000 ways to get out of a body lock. So yeah, it just makes you totally focused and stuff. So that should be really, really fun. When we get back, heaps of fights. We've got Muay Thai Grand Prix, we've got Diamondback, the Eternal. We've got so many different fights coming up. It's going to be busy, real busy when we get back again. And when we're going to see Courtney on the jiu-jitsu mats competing. When is she going to be not injured?
I wanna enter some wrestling comps. Yeah, I'm really keen to kind of start looking at branching out a bit. So I think there's a few coming up October, November.
Nice.
So I'll put some effort into that. Do some wrestling comps.
Did you do jiu-jitsu comps or no?
Yeah. I need to really focus on my jiu-jitsu. I think because at the level that I'm at, it's a high like caliber of females, and not a lot of them are MMA females. So like, I'm at this level and I do jiu-jitsu, but then when I compete in jiu-jitsu, I'm competing against athletes that spend like 5 hours a day just doing jiu-jitsu, where I spend 5 hours a day doing a little bit of boxing, a little bit of MMA, a little bit of jiu-jitsu, a little bit of this and that. So I want to really put some time and effort into like building my jiu-jitsu up again and then compete at that. So
that'd be cool.
Even if we don't get another MMA fight this year, I'm thinking like try and stay active and competitive in other disciplines.
Have you had like a grappling super fight? You did the GSF or something?
SF.
Down south, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that was back at Blue Belt. That was the last time I competed in jiu-jitsu. So
who was that again?
Hannah Gaffney from Mitsu.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so and she's I think she's quite a high level brown now. At that time, she was a high level purple, and I was like stepping up as a blue belt. So.
Right. Yeah, because you'd enjoy like even battlegrounds or something like that. Would be nice for.
That would be good if it does get brought in the
combat jits.
Yeah, I'm super keen to do some combat jits. Yeah,
that'd be pretty fun.
It'll be interesting. How do we like prepare for it? Does Steve just put on like a head guard and I'd get to slap him? Like
back in the day, like when we used to in the UK, we did pancras to start with, which was palm strikes, and it was like MMA but with palm strikes and knees and things like that. You just hit each other like that. We would just hit each other. It was it was ridiculous. Like we're just like smashing palms. Like, we're not punching each other. So you just use that, but. So you can get away with sort of like that. You just got to watch you don't perforate someone's eardrum or something.
I just like the first combat jiu-jitsu fight I ever saw was Ilham Ali, who's from Bellator. And all I remember is she's getting stuck in this like knee bar and she's smacking her opponent on the butt, just like constantly smacking. And that's all that sticks with me is am I just going to slap someone's butt for 5 minutes? Like,
that'd be pretty cool.
I think it's funny, like you say, because I was talking to the boys about it the other day. I said, because like some of the stuff I've been teaching lately is like I'm teaching like more complicated sort of like advanced submissions and things. And I was like, it's just so weird that you get to this point where you have to be doing these like complicated like multi-step submissions. And I'm like, why? Like, why not just an armbar or just a guillotine or a Kimura? It's like, it's because as your level comes up and your training partner's levels come up, you no longer get away with like just a Kimura from north-south, like I use for example. It's like a north-south Kimura. Yeah, you can hit it, you can catch it. But then if the guy defends good and he sees it's coming, okay, now I've got to drop to like a side triangle and then I've got to have something else off that. But if he's good and he knows he sees that coming, he defends that. Okay, now I've got to step over and go for a Tarico Plata. So it's like this multi-level, like higher. And then like you're saying, it's like you're doing MMA, so you've got to get like you want like good amount of like knowledge in each space. But then if you go against someone that's just got like, they've got all these pathways and branches off of like this one position to submit you, and it's like you don't have the amount of hours and time to like see all those. Like you can, but it just takes that lot longer to start adding those tools. I was like, it just seems so.
You obviously still get people who are just like really fundamentals, but they're just so high level at those fundamentals, like the Roger Gracie's, people like that. Never see him do anything fancy. It's all basic. You know what's going to come. Yeah. But he's that good at it. So like you want to it's a hard one because you want to know all these new moves in case someone tries to do them to you as well. Yeah. But then you also want to like just drill the fundamentals to death. Yeah. Which can be quite boring for some people doing it, but like when you compete, you're like, oh, this is what I need to do. Like I need to like be able to pull this arm bar off, and be able to pull this Kimura off or the choke or whatever. And it's like it's just that balance, isn't it? You know.
And I think I've said it to you guys. I've done a few open mats lately where I've had the opportunity to roll with some like higher level girls, and the difference is like really obvious. Like I can 100% see where my openings are, and like these things will work in MMA when I'm able to strike people. But then as soon as it's just pure jiu-jitsu, you can tell the difference between like girls that are doing no gi but have done a lot of gi work. Their grips are insane. Like that's where I'm really struggling at the moment, is like the girls that like purple, brown, black that are very competitive, that do lots of gi, lots of no gi. As soon as I roll them in no gi, they get a grip, and I've got to really be concerned about it. Where normally I'm like, oh, you got a grip, cool, I'm just going to work for what I want to work, because you're not really doing too much with it. But like in no gi especially, they'll like grip my wrist or something, and I'll be like, you're setting something up right now. I can see like those steps starting to come into place. And it's exactly what you said. Like if they're just drilling that one position from like step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they have options from all of those different steps. I don't know if I'm going into something that they're really good at and really like, or if I'm starting to defend well. Like it's really hard to tell at those levels. So
you find that there's like no gaps there. Yeah, the guys who are really good at that, especially with the gi, and then the transition to no gi, they're just the balance, the base. Yeah. There's just the positioning is just bang on. Yeah. Like whereas like sometimes you go almost really hard. You know there's going to be a gap there, and there's going to be a gap here, and you can feel it when you're moving with them. You get some people like, oh, I'm going to have to really work to move myself here, because otherwise they're going to take that space away from me again. So it's just it's hard to get it all done.
Find time in the day to do everything. Yeah.
I mean, it would be the same with striking with MMA as well, isn't it? It's like you could be like a wicked MMA striker, but if you get put in Courtney, get in the ring, you're going to do Muay Thai with this like top level Muay Thai guy. It's a person. It's just going to be like
it's the rule sets though, isn't it? That's just different rules.
So it's like that MMA. You have to just you're trying to. It's hard. It's like you just got to try and learn everything. And I guess you just slowly keep building
the
each toolkit for each thing. Yeah. So that's what I talk about to Alden before he had that Jono fight. Like I was like, you've got like a really great almost it's like a black belt level jiu-jitsu with these certain things that you do, right? But it's like, and you can go, I don't need to know this submission, I don't need to know that submission. But if you've got the time and you've already good here, they're all polished, right? This stuff that you do already is polished. Why not let's just add on a little bit more here, just like not a heap of stuff, just a little bit more. Now, if Jono comes with something that like maybe now you've seen that and you've got an answer for that, so you just slowly building, like once you've got that understanding there, don't stop, just keep on.
It's all about seeing it and knowing how it feels and how you should be able to do it, even if you're never going to use it. I think it's just you need to know how to do it. Like when I came from no-gi, I did 16 years of no-gi before I even put a gi on. And then when I come to put a gi on, and then people are grabbing my gi and I didn't know what the hell they were doing, and they were like wrapping around my back and stuff, and I had no idea. And then I was like, this is where the holes are, massive holes in my game, because I'd never seen these before. But once you start seeing them, you know what this feels like and what that feels like and what someone's going for there. And you've got to keep them fundamentals really solid, but obviously evolve and know what everyone's doing, because it just changes. Jiu-jitsu changes all the time.
I think like in terms of grappling as well, like MMA grappling, no gi grappling, gi grappling, they're like the same but different, and I feel like they all just supplement each other in one way or another. Like if people are just doing no gi, I find most of the time I roll them, they don't like to be like engaged that much. It's like a lot of movement, a lot of like scrambles, blah blah blah. Whereas like you get a gi guy and you're doing no gi with them, they're happy to hunker down into a space even in no gi, and then technically work out of that spot or or like get into like a little bit of a grind. Whereas like, so them doing the gi work can supplement the no gi, and then vice versa. You do the no gi work, you're doing a lot of scrambling, a lot of disengaging, engaging. Then you can bring that into your gi game sometimes, and you throw a scramble in there, you throw a, you know, and then doing the MMA grappling like with Kev and James and all these guys. It's like, I've noticed like I'm doing more wrestle ups, I'm doing more like chasing them down, getting body locks, like instead of letting them get away, like even in my gi, instead of letting them get away and sitting on my back and like looking for this or that, I'm like grabbing a single and then I'm like diving on a double and then I'm climbing up for a body lock and I'm putting them back down, and it's like, because they all supplement each other in one way.
There's different rules and different ways people want to fight. So like when you're fighting against the MMA guys, oftentimes they're trying to get back to the feet again. So then you're like, where you would be rolling and you get like an underhook and you come out the back. Next minute they stood up. You're like, what the hell? Like, oh shit, I've got to grab this. Like now I've got to get a really good body lock and I've got to be able to bring him back down again.
Yeah.
So it's completely different because they're not engaging, because maybe their thing is to get back to the feet all the time. You know what I mean? So it's, that's why I think they all supplement each other. Yeah. I've seen a lot more in here doing from jiu-jitsu to MMA. The guys who do the MMA stand and jump and put a gi on and things like that, which is great because you want everyone to do everything and get a good knowledge of everything. You know, especially with the wrestling, with the jiu-jitsu, with the no-gi, the gi, everything. You know?
Yeah, I think they just all supplement each other. I mean, I was talking to Ren about it, and because she's doing MMA, I just said to her, I was like, yeah, just throw a gi on once a week. It's just a little, like taking a supplement just to help slow things down for you. And technically, so when you do get locked into a submission, well, now you've been here where you can't slip out and you have to step by step escape. And then vice versa. Like when it's like quick and scrambly, the gi guys can do some of that, and then it helps them scramble out and not get locked down in something, you know? Yeah, I think.
So we'll start rounding it up now. It's going to be our last podcast we're going to do ever. No, joking. It's going to be the last one we do for about 3 weeks because we're going to be away. Next one should be in the cage, where we're at right now. We'll be in a cage instead of in a ring.
Cage Chronicles.
Cage Chronicles, exactly. Cage Confessions. So we'll be here, back here in about 3 weeks with a new cage. And we're going to have heaps of stuff to talk about. James will be lost in Las Vegas. And then hopefully the gym's still running by the time I get back.
Thinking about turning it into like a professional karaoke spot.
I reckon,
whilst you're gone
maybe
and unsupervised. Yeah, why not?
I feel
maybe some line dancing in the background.
I feel with your karaoke skills would be good.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. Might scare everyone off, but
Maybe.
I don't know. Put in some votes. What do you want to see this gym turned into while Steve's gone?
Yeah, let's not do that. All right, okay. We'll catch you later in about 3 weeks.
Us.